Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
Hi, Rohan and Sai. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. As I said just before the interview, I knew I would get your last names wrong, so I'm going to have you both say them for our audience. But before we go there, I just want you both to share a little bit about your backstory, because we're going to talk about something really inspirational today. You're doing some wonderful work with Vytal. Is that how you say it?
Yeah, it is.
Vytal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is a great breakthrough in technology to help detection of disease. So I know you're going to love to share with the audience. You're doing great work. But let's go first. Rohan, if you could just share your full name and a little bit about your backstory.
Yeah. So my full name is Rohan Kalahasty. I'm currently a senior at Thomas Jefferson High School over in Alexandria, Virginia. It's about like 20-30 minutes out from DC. So but yeah, I've been pretty interested in the computer science and the medicine space sort of all throughout high school. I've done a lot of like varying work at various places. I've been working at Harvard at their Ophthalmology AI Lab for the past 3 years, and that's where I gained a lot of experience with AI and medicine kind of together. And I've also, I've just worked at a lot of places like that and gained a lot of experience, and that experience has definitely played a large role in the work me and Sai are doing now at Vytal.
That's so cool. And Sai, what brought you both together? I mean, share your story a little bit with the audience.
Yeah, so my name is Sai Mattapalli, and so my background, similar to Rohan, started off in like the research space. I did a lot of behavioral neuroscience research over at Georgetown, and I also forayed a little bit into entrepreneurship and finance. I had the opportunity to intern at a couple of startups prior to founding Vytal with Rohan, and I would say what really brought us together was one, our shared interest and background as primarily academic researchers. And the realization that brought us to found Vytal was that we realized a lot of research stops at the publication stage, right? You present at a conference, you publish the research, and then you're lucky to maybe get a couple of citations, right? And we actually wanted our research to be used in the real world, which is what brought us into the field of startups, because we realized, at the end of the day, money is what moves the world. And if we want to push a medical tech product out in the world, we needed to have it under the lens of a startup where we're able to properly raise the capital we need to push out the products.
Wow. I totally love that side. And it's interesting. I remember in my 20s, I became totally obsessed with the research of cancer. We had 8 people in my family all get diagnosed with cancer in 1 year. And so I became obsessed. Like, I got to understand this stuff, man. So, and I was surprised that just what you're saying, so much of stuff would make it just to research and never go further. And I was like, what? This sounds promising. Why are we not going further with it? So yeah, I totally love that. Now, I'd love for also both of you to share, what is your take? What is Vytal going to do? How is it going to break through in disease detection? What is that going to look like?
Yeah, of course. So what Vytal's product does at a high level is it allows people to quantify and evaluate their overall brain health in a few minutes using either their laptop and in the near future, their smartphone as well. So brain health has been, an increasingly important thing for people to actually care about for the past 5 years, because the actual age of the population in the US has been increasing pretty rapidly, or the average age, right? And because of this like huge spike in the elderly population, we're getting a lot of patients suffering from dementia and other associated diseases who really can't take care of themselves. And the truth is that family members need to know whether or not their, grandparents are having dementia, or they're just, like getting old and a little bit forgetful, right? So
yeah,
we're giving a way for these families to essentially take control over their elders' brain health in some ways. And I guess to give some background about the actual product itself. So there's been a lot of research in the past 40 years sort of linking changes in your eye movements to your overall brain health, right? It's really been shown that your eyes can actually be a window into your overall brain health. But the issue is that to actually, quantify those very minute eye movement changes, you need these super, super expensive headsets, right? They're like $30,000, $40,000 at the higher end. So these aren't pieces of technology that everyone can access. So
Mhm.
what we've done at Vytal is essentially democratize the process of calculating those eye movement biometrics. And
Mhm.
we've shown that our technology can calculate those biometrics to nearly the same accuracy as those very expensive headsets.
Wow. That is fascinating. Now tell me both. Now this detects dementia, or I guess if is that primarily it, dementia or other brain illnesses, or just is that primarily it?
Mhm.
Yeah. So we're not only detecting Alzheimer's or, dementia, because the
Hmm.
truth is that there's a bunch of different brain
Yeah.
diseases that are all associated with these eye movement changes.
Interesting.
Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, ALS, even concussions have very distinct eye movement changes, right?
Mm.
So this technology can really be used to evaluate multiple different diseases. And one of the really cool things, at least in my opinion, is that this tool, it doesn't need to be only used to detect the disease and screen for it, but it can actually be used to track the disease's progression, right? So for example, say, earlier this year there was the first Alzheimer's drug, and you start taking the drug, you can actually see how your biometrics start changing after you start that medication, right? And you can see whether that medication is actually helpful. And this is super important right now
Mhm.
because there's a lot of debate on whether or not medications for brain diseases are actually working.
Mm.
Because right now, the way, I guess I can give an example for Alzheimer's, right? One of the ways that you can track Alzheimer's progression is
Mm.
using the mini mental state exam, right? And that's somewhat of a qualitative test that changes a lot from day to day. So we really need these quantitative and comprehensive methods of tracking that. And that's what this product really gives to patients.
Great, great. So will this be something that patients can take home and their families and like say put them in every doctor's office so they can go in, maybe get a quick scan? And how long does it take if they were to start operating with the technology Vital to actually get a reading and know? Yeah.
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 So we right now our business model is sort of a hybrid between a B2C and a B2B,
Mhm.
which to explain that more clearly, it's essentially going to be open for access for individuals to buy for themselves, right?
Mhm.
So individual households that are just interested in, let's say, like for themselves or for other members of their family, they can directly purchase our products.
Mhm.
And we're also approaching a B2B angle where we directly connect with, like you said, healthcare providers
Mhm.
to have Vital eventually be a part of that routinely checkup, right? Where
Mhm.
it's as important or as crucial as like a blood pressure machine test is.
Mhm.
We Our long-term goal is to have our tool also be used as regularly as that. And in terms of how long it takes about 5 to 7 minutes max when it's at its maximum number of settings. So we
Mhm.
currently actually have a beta version of our application that's free for anyone to access right now
Nice.
online at just app.vital.ai. And if you go through there, it takes about 7 to 10 minutes because we have it at the maximum number of trials for all the biometrics. But later on, we're working on adding an update where a doctor or physician can specifically ask to track certain biometrics. So instead
Mhm.
of going through like the 4 to 5 tests that we have, a user can only selectively do 1 or 2 tests depending on what exactly their doctor wants to test for. So.
Mm, this is fascinating. And I'm thinking while you're talking, I actually know someone right now who's concerned about their loved one, maybe having dementia. And so this would be a great technology for her. Can you buy it right now, or is it just for them to go try it on your website right now?
Yeah, so right now the entire application from, start to finish is completely free on the beta test.
Oh,
So,
awesome. Awesome.
yeah.
I will let my friend know. That's totally awesome. Now, how are you going about securing funding, and what is that looking like? Because maybe there's
Yeah.
someone listening in who's like, I want to help contribute.
Yeah, yeah. So primarily our funding so far has been, the typical startup route. We've gone to venture capitals, and we also had to prioritize a lot of angel investors
Mm,
because especially in the healthcare technology space, there's a lot of risk involved, right, for
mm,
investors. So we primarily needed to focus on healthcare angel investors that were risk averse
mm.
or risk tolerant, I should say.
Yeah.
And so a lot of that has come from these typical startup investors. We've raised about $1.3 million. which is a lot of money for a startup, but
Mhm.
for a specific healthcare tech startup, it's actually not a lot if you consider like how much these other healthcare tech startups are making, or
Mhm.
I guess I should say raising.
Mhm.
Because if you just check online, a lot of similar tech startups have raised almost $100 million, right? But it's a incentive for us at Vital to be efficient with what we're building as well,
Mhm.
to make sure that we're also working quickly, right? Because
Mhm.
we don't want to take 5 to 10 years to get this product out, right? We want to
Mhm.
get it out as fast as possible, to maximize how early we can make an impact.
I love that. So let's say it's up and going, it's at a doctor's office, and they get a reading. The doctor said, okay, yes, we've verified you do have onset of dementia. This is kind of a tool that can let them know kind of early ahead of time so they can start to defeat it before it gets really bad. Is that really where it's leading?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So one of the really big things about these brain diseases is that a lot of them don't have proper treatments right now, but
Mm.
there's certain things you can do to kind of slow their progression. And there are a few medications out there. So we do imagine that if they get a specific diagnosis from our app after, confirming that diagnosis with other scans and tests,
Hmm.
then you can use that diagnosis as an action item to actually, try to do something to slow its
Yeah.
progression or cure the disease, right? And that's what we're hoping for.
That's
Mhm.
awesome. Well, I have to thank you both, Rohan and Sai, for the wonderful work you're doing. This is fabulous. We have not had such an inspirational interview in such a long time, but I really want us to let everyone know where they can find out about both of you. If they want to contribute or find out more about Vytal, how can they do that?
Yeah, so Sai and I are both on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
and so if you reach out to us there, we'll definitely respond. We also have just emails. So my email is Rohan at Vytal.ai, and Sai's is Sai at Vytal.ai. So pretty simple. Just send us an email, and we'll definitely respond if you're interested in, just getting involved, investing, or just
Mm.
talking to us. Like, we're super open. We love
That's
talking.
awesome. Yeah, and plus someone can maybe even volunteer. Maybe there's someone who would like to, help out and they're in college. That would, yeah, all the help the merrier, I'm sure. Now I'm gonna spell it for everyone who wants to go to the website, find out more. V is in Victor, Y is in Yankee, T is in Tom, A is in Apple, L is in Larry, .ai, to find out more about them and the wonderful work that both Rohan and Sai are doing. I thank you both so much for what you're doing today. And thanks for coming out to Savvy Broadcasting.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you so much.
You betcha.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.